Jazz.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dimlits, where we are not the brightest bulbs in the box. This is a podcast where we talk about Pixar movies because why not? Or today, why not? Oh, man.
Oh, man, he is really taking after you today.
You yell at me for jokes. Come on.
At least I laugh at how stupid yours are.
Today, we're talking about the 23rd entry in the Pixar catalog, Soul, released directly to Disney Plus in December of 2020 on Christmas. The first Pixar movie to go straight to Disney Plus because of COVID for this one. You know, the subsequent ones were for different reasons. And a very, very popular movie. A lot of people really like this. It won 2 Oscars for animated feature and original score. And yeah, people again really love this because it's the Pixar formula. It feels like it was made by a factory now because it's the same thing they've been doing for the decade leading up. And while
it's basically Inside Out 2.5.
I was going to say, oddly enough, it's also directed
1.5
by Pete Docter. As directed Inside Out, it really, really feels very similar.
Yeah, just who directed Coco?
But it's more like Outside In.
Why can't I remember who directed Coco?
Because he dies, and then
Or like Outside End, Inside End.
Okay.
I guess I kind of because he starts, he dies.
Which one was Terry?
They're all Terry.
No,
Rachel
they're all
House.
Jerry.
Rachel House.
Oh, that's right.
The one that counts, right? Was Terry?
Yeah, that's Rachel House.
Was it just me, or was Terry kind of annoying?
It's Rachel House. You don't like Rachel House? She's in all of Taika Waititi's movies or a bunch
You
of
do
them.
love Rachel House.
I know, I like her, but I just think Terry was kind of
I mean, the whole movie was kind of annoying.
I wouldn't say that. I got enjoyment out of it.
Eh.
I think it's a good movie.
I think you get enjoyment out of a lot of things that are bad.
I do. I get enjoyment out of a lot of things.
80 for Brady.
Which
And Cocaine Bear.
They both gave me entertainment value. I'm not saying this is as I think it tries to be deeper than it actually is, but that's.
It definitely does.
But regardless, Jared, you want to give us your spiel?
Yeah. Without further ado, Soul. We'll see what I said a year ago. Joe is a jazz musician obsessed with, well, jazz.
Jerry Seinfeld would be excited.
He spends all his time focusing on making it, focusing so much that he dies right after the news of getting his first big break. Now he must fight to stay alive in the land of the dead and learn more about himself and his family. Is this sounding a bit familiar?
No.
I don't even think it is similar to Coco too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. It's Inside Out, Coco, and this are kind of all like dealing with family things alongside of, you ever wonder how this worked about life? Oh, this is where you go after you live. Oh, here's where you go before you live. Oh, how about this one? What's happening while you're living? It is kind of this weird, unofficial trilogy, isn't it?
Really, that's so wild. I never connected until this viewing. Also, seeing it in chronological order helps really notice it too. But yeah, wow.
And I think the other 2 movies are better than it.
I think.
I'm pointing at you.
I think you're actually right for once.
When I watched this the first time, back in December of 2020, I thought, yeah, it's a good little movie. And this time it's like, yeah, it's a fine little movie. I'm a little more annoyed this time than last time. But people love this one.
It's funny you say that you thought it was pretty good the first time you saw it. I thoroughly was entertained. I really, really enjoyed this the first time that I saw it. And then, just...
Because when something's new, you don't notice the cracks as well.
Exactly. And so in a second watch, I was like, okay, I can see a couple of annoyances, a couple of...
It's kind of a conflicting movie with itself.
Shortcut sometimes. Where
the tone is like polar opposite between where he lived, like the jazz part of it and the afterlife part of it. I wish they would have just made a jazz part of it. Like, I know you said you don't like the body swapping idea, but
I don't.
I don't know what they could have done, but like if they just didn't deal with the afterlife, or
well, you brought up something earlier today. How to change it, make it more Dickensian.
Yeah, you're
where
right.
It takes place. The present is the afterlife thing, but he's looking back at it because that like Hall of Memories thing
Is really interesting.
is cool, and they're in there for 5 seconds, and half of
Well,
that
10
is-
seconds. They go there twice.
Oh, that's right. But that moment, I remember both times when a 22 rings up his memories, not the guy he took the spot of.
Bjorn Borges.
Yep. It's like, wow, this is really sad. I go, focus on that.
Yeah.
Don't just have him walk around for a second. Go, oh yeah, I've not done anything, and then just they move on to them pooping out pizza.
Yeah, that was so weird.
That was, and the little sound effect, the was like, and they do it again. I go, stop.
It's like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
They all kind of were designed like that, like little blobs. They kind of look.
No, that's literally that. Well, not literally how Casper the Friendly Ghost works, but
No, I was gonna say it doesn't make that noise. It just goes right through them.
no, it does make that noise though. You hear all the noise of them eating and digesting,
Yeah,
and you
eating,
see it
not
go
when
through
pops
them
out,
though.
It just goes through to the floor, right? And then he's like scooping it up.
It
with
doesn't
the-
pop out like they're pooping it,
No,
but
it
you
just
see
goes
that it's
straight down.
digested.
I don't
It's
mind
weird
I don't
because-
mind all the smack. It's the when it like
Oh.
shoots out of their butt and soul that I'm like, ugh.
I suppose that's fair. I'm annoyed that no mystery exists in Hollywood anymore. It either is leaning too heavily into mystery or there's none. Like, I would have preferred if the movie just started with him dropping into the frame of, like, the black frame. We don't know who he is. We don't know what his
and
motivations
we learn
are.
about him.
Yeah, and we learn about him through, as cliche as it sounds, flashbacks or that memory thing, or
Yeah, it's just interesting you say that because, like, I'm trying to think. I think it almost would be a little too cliche to just learn all about him through flashbacks.
But at least it works better as a structure. This feels kind of inconsistent. Mm-hmm. The pacing is
because
weird,
the afterlife,
Well,
the afterlife and the Earth don't match. Like,
And-
that's specifically why.
No, there are. You can definitely tell. I just don't know if that's the right way to.
Yeah. The thing that bugs me is how it's a movie like Inside Out and Coco where they set up rules to this. Because the whole point is you cannot get to Earth without the pass, and you can't take someone else's pass. And then what do they do within 5 minutes? They bypass everything and just get on that ship with Graham Norton, and they just jump into his body. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, he can only sense like his own body, but it's like, well, he jumped into the cat and he pushed the cat soul to heaven, so apparently they can, when they get to those close moments, they can just pop in whenever they want.
Additionally, he's not dead in that hospital scene. So are they saying that people are dead that are in comas? What about the people that come
true.
out of comas?
Was he in a coma? Or was he not?
Well, I mean, the heart monitor was still going, and he was in the hospital. You'd think if he was dead, he wouldn't be in the actual hospital. He'd be in like the morgue or in the ground or something.
That's why he was able to get back. It's because he wasn't fully dead. He was
Then what?
just-
But he was going to the great.
Yeah, why
beyond.
was he going to the great beyond then?
Maybe.
He's trying to find the
Yeah,
way
he's
out
I
of
am
it.
trying to
find
figure it
that's
out.
exactly what
And
I'm
he was
trying.
literally
There's
going
either
to the great
something.
beyond.
There's either something missing that they cut to keep it moving, or they just didn't plan for it.
It's called let's do the world building thing that we've been doing, but also we kind of need to go from here to here, so we gotta just take this little. Let's just add this little shortcut because the story needs it. But they don't think of anything clever to transition from one to the other. It's just we can just put you right back. Also, people in the zone can just show up in this before life like that, like he's dancing with a sign, and then or later when Joe just plays the piano, he just appears there and can move around. It's like
That part didn't
Okay.
bother me too much.
it's kind of dumb. It's like
I mean,
what? So people
So
can,
what
so
is-
people
so-
can actually see this and remember what is going on.
So when he's playing the piano, and he pops into the memory hall of memory, does that mean his body dies? Because he technically took the soul out of him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
That's a good point.
they go into the zone, and it's like so they went into the zone just by being like in that state of performing, but they can like move around and act outside their body in this other realm, and they can remember everything and know about that's just like so literally they can just do that.
But then the sign guy
want.
is also moving around in the memory.
Yeah, that's
thing.
why it's like how is this working?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of the. I'm trying to explain it in my head, and I can't. But it doesn't. I guess it doesn't bother me that much that it takes away from other good parts in it.
It bothers me.
But
It feels
It doesn't
like,
bother me while I'm watching it, but the more I think about it,
it feels like, because it's Pixar, they're good at creating emotional moments. This one didn't feel like they took time to find clever ways to string them into a story, and instead just, hung them on a clothesline. Like, we'll just put them all in here. We'll attach them some convenient way, and people will still like it. And it
honestly,
worked
I think that just the story of him in the jazz band is interesting enough to carry a whole movie.
it is.
Especially with the way they reveal that he treated the people around him without even knowing.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
that's
that's-
good. That shot of him when Dez, his barber, starts talking like, why have you never brought this up before? And then it shows him as the cat kind of make this face like, oh, that's the good stuff. It's, wow. I never really thought just how focused I am on one thing that I'm not only experiencing life, I don't know that much about the people around me. That's good stuff. There's another moment someone I watched a little thing about pointed out where, like, when he's talking to his mom and he says the line about, like, I feel like my life's wasted. And, like, he's drenched in the blue light and she's drenched in the more bright, like, goldish light. And she walks into his blue light to kind of tell him that. And that's when she agrees to make the suit. And I go, that's good stuff. I kind of wish we had more of a story that works, that links all these together.
I liked the Earth part more than the...
I agree. I think the birth part was...
I think that should have been the whole movie. I don't know how to do it with the body without, like, the body swapping like that, but...
And it brings up a point that I've had with other people about Pixar. It's like they always have to do that extra step up on the story. But then once in a while, I was like, I kind of wish they'd just make a story that's more grounded.
A little more simple.
Because, like, as much as Ratatouille is a work of, like, fantasy... outside of that, it's pretty grounded, and they don't have to explain how things work every 5 seconds. Like the hair thing, they don't explain how that works. They just go with it. It doesn't need 10 minutes of exposition. And that's fairly grounded outside of the rats being that kind of intelligent. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's just the natural Pixar, the natural, like, animation thing. You just, you give animals human qualities.
Yeah, but they don't have to explain it. And you would think that they wouldn't have to explain it here, too.
And the movie after this is Luca, where outside of the fantasy elements, it's not like we're figuring out how this whole world works as part of the story. It's literally just, and you haven't seen it.
Oh, that's right. He's not.
But that's the one.
But it's very grounded in that aspect, and it's simple.
Without saying anything, they never explain why that happens when they leave the water.
Because when they leave the water, they become humans. When they dry up, and they don't explain it. They don't need to.
It's not even really. I mean, it's a tension part in the movie, but it's not.
It's a device. It's not part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like. So maybe it's like, because, like, I feel like them trying to explain the world just gets they get too caught up and try to, like what you were saying, to explain the world and not the characters. And you know what I think did that really well in Pixar's catalog? WALL-E.
Yeah. I
think because, like, granted, it's kind of close to the world we live in, but it's still technically different. And I think that they did a good way of explaining how everything there works, and then still tying it into the actual characters. Whereas, because, like, I keep looking at this movie and I keep like, listen, there's really good parts of it that I really like, but you guys are right. Like, it feels like there's two different movies, and I just wish there was a better way.
And it's another movie where a big studio has a person of color, in this case a black main character, that gets turned into an animal for a huge chunk of the runtime. Because I saw this thing where it was Blue Sky did it with Spies in Disguise. Their first black main character's turned into a bird the whole time. Disney did it with Tiana for Princess and the Frog, where she's turned into a frog for the whole movie. Pixar does it with Soul, with Joe, turns him into a cat for most of the movie. And also, if we just people of color, Kenai in Brother Bear is turned into a bear for all the time because Inuit.
Yeah.
I think that one makes a little bit more sense because it's part of his culture.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like, oh, we finally don't have a white person as the main character and we turn them into something. And it's not like it's incredibly common, but there's this trend of it. It's like,
and then you turn the
and even
it's
like this
enough. That's really funny.
And even in this movie, when Joe is not in his body, he's also just one of the soul things too. So it's like he's only in his body for probably a third of the movie. If that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's barely,
Again,
actually.
the Earth stuff is the best part, and it actually, like, animation wise, I think
It's really good.
I like the
I like how New York looks.
The lighting on the stage.
everything.
The music and how they're playing matches up with the notes for what I can tell.
Like everything on the stage looked fantastic.
I would take an entire movie of them just performing and just doing different like camera movements through
I
it.
take a whole movie of just watching that bassist play because it's a bass.
It's the
and she's
best
pretty,
instrument.
It was pretty. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
So again, the music, it won the Oscar. It's really good.
It makes sense.
And the whole thing, again, the storyline about he makes it and it's not how he thought he'd feel is so good. And this thing of like learning to appreciate how he's teaching others, and the scene with the trombone player in the hall, they're all good. It doesn't link into a good story.
That moment where I think it's when he's getting into the cab after he goes back to play the thing, and he goes, well, what's next? And she goes, well, we do come back tomorrow and we do this again. Huh? Like that's the pinnacle.
That's it. He
It's
made
this-
it.
You got what you wanted, but he put everything on it, and it's kind of
It's a good.
Yeah.
It's a very good lesson. It's a very good like theme to get around to. I like that much of it, but
Yeah.
Like you said, Pixar is good at moments.
and also themes. I think they are really good at like.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff with the
And
themes.
endings.
Yeah.
This has a very good
This
end.
does have a good end.
Like, I think my initial like rating of it. Oh, and that's another funny thing. This is a funny little anniversary for me. This is the first movie that I rated, like watched and then rated on Letterboxd.
Wow.
This was also the first movie we talked about in this podcast, technically, because we did a test before we ever did the DreamWorks podcast. We're like, okay, we need to do a practice round to get into this. How do we talk to each other in a podcast form? And we let's talk about Soul. We were supposed to talk for like 10 minutes. We talked for like 30.
Really? I
Hey,
don't remember that.
Ironically, guess what we're almost at now?
I do not remember doing that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Real quick, too, I was just thinking about this. So you know how they force conflict of 22 running away from him and his body because she doesn't want to leave Earth? My whole thought was, one, this feels forced. Two, you just jumped into this guy's body. Can't you just, now you want to go to Earth? You don't need a pass. You don't need your spark. Just go back to the pirate ship, wait for an opening, and just jump into a body.
Yeah.
You literally can. Like, it shows that you push someone's soul out, which is pretty
That's
terrible.
true.
But it's still like, you could literally just do it. You don't need your find your
Isn't
spark.
isn't it the Guardian things that push the souls out though?
No, remember when they jump into the
just when they
cat?
jump-
Oh yeah,
cat.
but then the cat was back alive at the end of the movie
Yeah.
after going to the Great Beyond.
Somehow.
Wait,
Like,
was it?
Yeah,
Oh
they had
my
a
God,
whole.
I never
They had a
put it
whole like.
together.
It's a tiny little cut of after he goes into the cat's body. The cat's spirit is
I
on
know-
the
I remember
escalator,
that. Yes, I
and
remember
then
that
at the
part.
end of the movie, the cat's alive again.
Yeah, runs it.
Totally right.
Again, they're setting up these rules that they just bypass. Because then by the end of the movie, when things are, kind of contradicting each other, they just don't think, it's like, oh, no one will notice. Well, we did.
Well, we
never-
did.
Because I didn't realize that. And they just like, wait a second. You're.
Yeah, like that's a really funny thing, but then you think about it, like they just killed a cat.
It is kind of morbid when you really think about
Yeah.
it. The fact that you can just push someone's soul out.
Now,
Bye bye.
now to be fair, these Guardians clearly live by no rules. They can do whatever they want.
But in theory, the way.
I'll.
And now I'm definitely just starting to snowball a little bit more and more. But in theory, anybody, if you can get into the zone and meditate or do whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
you can do that. You can go to that place. Although, I guess they said the only time you can jump into another person is like when it's like really thin. Between
Yeah,
the two worlds. So I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
literally
how-
took like 4 hours.
Well, I don't know.
Because they're like, when's the next time? Oh, like 6:30.
I don't know the actual like repetition, like how often that actually comes around.
Still, though,
But in theory, you should just be able to.
22's waited for thousands of years.
Yeah, but she
waited-
doesn't want to go though. I guess is
Well, that's the whole point. Is she
It just-
didn't want to go.
It just seems
Or
like
they
this.
didn't wanna
It
go?
feels so forced. And what does it lead to? It leads to a quick chase in which just gets outed from the body anyway.
I mean,
It's kind of nothing.
we don't really get a. Yeah, it would be they because
And then
we
his-
don't really get any sort of
I was just
other than being
curious
Tina
about-
Fey.
Yeah. Oh, that was a funny bit where she was, or 22 was like, oh yeah, you can. I sound like this because that's annoying. But I can sound like this. Like throw in all the voices. That was funny. Tina Fey is just an annoying voice.
So that scene's a little bit like Dickey then, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I found 22 obnoxious. And
so that
the movie,
scene's a little bit like Dickey then.
And the movie calling it out, I remember sitting there like, that's annoying. I'm like, yeah, no.
It doesn't make it funnier when you tell me it's annoying. I already think it's annoying.
Yeah.
I'm just still thinking about that whole, like, I want to stay here. I need to know my spark. And I'm going like, this is just feeling so forced. And when they go back and he gets the pass, which I don't know how that works. They literally said you can't take someone's pass.
No. She said you can't take this until it becomes a globe.
Okay.
And then once it becomes a globe, you can take it.
Okay, so that makes sense. But when he takes it and she's all upset with him, I'm like, yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. It's his body. You literally were stealing his body. I wouldn't feel bad at all.
Yeah. I didn't feel bad. Like I did like the part where they go to save 22, as annoying as she was the entire movie. That part where...
That felt a lot like the end of Inside Out, though.
It did. It definitely felt
Again,
like
another Pete Docter movie where it's like this feels pretty much the same. Again,
I'm not saying that it's a
manufactured
bad thing because Inside Out was also a good movie.
But what we said, it's a decent movie.
Do the same thing.
I think the way that they handled the secondary world is better in this than the way that they handled the secondary world in Inside Out.
Interesting.
As far as outside of Riley's brain and outside of the command center, I didn't like I like the idea of the afterlife stuff better than I liked the idea of going through all of the different like island things.
Oh, that's totally fair. Yeah, I could see that. You know what else? My brain connected the afterlife void world zone thing that they've made in this. Moon Knight. You remember that? Like the giant boats going through the dunes and
the sands of time.
Wasn't it just the one
episode?
No, like the one boat. Was there more than one?
I thought it was just one boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just the one god that does that.
Mm-hmm. And I just realized, I'm like, wait, that gives it kind of similar vibes, like the thing in Moon Knight. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I just
talk about a show I completely forgot about.
Yep. Yeah. Looking at my notes. I will say the Knicks joke is hilarious.
Yeah.
Both times I laughed.
This team for 20 years.
And the Knicks lose again. I go, oh man, that's still funny. That's still good. And any Knicks fan watching wanted to laugh but couldn't. They're like, nope, it hurts too much.
The thing is, they could have. I like that you could copy and paste that joke into almost any bad sports team. Like, I really love that.
It's not like the Knicks are bad all the time. I know the old joke is, oh, the Knicks suck. They've had really good teams. They've won it all like once in like the 70s.
Can you believe that's like 50 years ago now?
I can, because none of us were around. But it does feel. No, what's weirder is like the 80s are in the 40 years away.
Yeah, the 80s are. Yeah.
That's and I wasn't even alive, but that's a little closer because there are people close to my age from you're born in the late 80s, so we're pushing 30 and you're pushing 40. It's like, man, this feels weird. Makes you start thinking about your own hall of memories, doesn't it?
It does. I've already gone through one of my midlife crises.
One of them?
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more.
Would it be crises or crises? I keep hearing
crises.
both.
It's crises.
It's crises?
It's crises.
He said a word right. He said a difficult word right.
It's not that hard to say. Crises.
Say salsa.
Salsa.
Where do you go to gamble in Nevada? I mean, you can go multiple places like Reno and others, but what's the big one?
Las Vegas.
That is wrong.
That's correct.
That is wrong.
Vegas? Is that what he says?
Las Vegas.
You monolingual piece of crap.
It's Vegas.
That's what I said, Vegas.
That's why they say
Vegas, not Vegas.
That's what I'm saying, Vegas.
I still hear the other one.
He says Vegas.
Aye.
It's not vegetables.
I think his brain's got a leak.
Did you just refer to Dickey as a Farfetch'd?
That's a Farfetch. That's right. Farfetch has a leak.
What?
Farfetch, the Pokemon. He has a leak.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He's a sword-fighting duck with a leak as his sword.
Okay. Soul!
Yeah, I'm just. I think I was already kind of upset at it for beating Wolfwalkers for best animation because it was not. Wolfwalkers was not going to win. It's the Pixar machine, but I was just.
I don't know. The Pixar machine was taken down this year.
Yes,
That's true. That is true.
I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things where it had no chance, but Wolfwalkers is so much better.
It's hard to bet against the Pixar machine.
There is not a Cartoon Saloon movie that I would consider not better than this.
Yeah, they're all better than Soul.
Even the lesser event them.
Yeah, and that year that Soul was that one. There's only one movie in that batch that Soul was better than. Onward.
Did they really get two?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I forgot this was the same year.
Yep, Onward got nominated. That ceremony is weird. I'm not going to go into that tangent. The one for because just there's so many, just there weren't so many weird movies nominated because they didn't have enough. Maybe something. I don't know.
That's a whole thing where they should have canceled it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in Jared's boat. They should just take the whole thing streaming now.
I agree.
Or is that Dickey's boat? I'm not sure.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah. That's a whole.
That's a whole thing.
Trying to think of anything else I wrote down. I kind of touched on it. It's just kind of this frustrating thing of it has really good ideas and really good moments and a really cool concept. And as Jake said, it's multiple movies kind of smashed together.
I think they maybe just thought of the concept before they thought of the actual story.
I wonder if they came up with the before life thing and that was going to be the whole movie, but they didn't have enough story, so they added in more of the New York stuff, and then I wonder just how much of that morphed into that. And you never know, but it just feels like
what if it was just instead of knowing who they're jumping into, what if they just randomly jumped into two people?
Then it'd be Wonder Woman 1984. The whole thought of like, so we put.
Now I have seen Pedro Pascal without a mustache. I'm not cool with it.
What's his name? Chris Pine. Chris Pine is actually in some random dude's body, and they're sleeping together and doing all this stuff. This poor dude has like 2 weeks of his life just missing from his memory. This is kind of gross. I'm not comfortable with this. Like, I know we talked about pushing people's souls out of their bodies. I'm not saying that's a good thing. That was more of, hey, 22, you already don't care. Just go do that. But the thought of, like, taking over someone's body and doing a bunch of stuff like that, it's like...
It's Wonder Woman 84?
What did you say?
Wonder Woman 84. That's
yeah. Any more thoughts on Soul? Just kind of it's decent. Just frustrating.
I did really like the light trail Picasso design of the. I'm gonna keep calling them Guardians because I don't know what they actually are.
The Jerrys.
The Jerrys.
Yes, the Jerry and the Jerry's and the Terry.
I liked how they looked. I liked how when they turned, they had dimension to them, but still looked more two-dimensional. Like they had that. Like there's cool stuff with the animation. The souls themselves look kind of.
Yeah,
dumb.
just the souls were a little.
Yeah.
I think they just kind of said just splat. There you go.
Yeah, again, it just feels like it's like, oh, or the flip side of what I said about what this movie could have been. I wonder if it was supposed to be more New York centered, but then they're like, no, this Pixar, we got to do more of the other world. Like, how does this work? Type thing. Yeah. I don't know.
What if your feelings had feelings?
It just it almost feels like a.
What if you even had feelings in death?
What if death had feelings? Boom, there's soul.
Maybe this feels like a rough draft of a script almost. Like the ideas are there, they're just not fully fleshed out or formed. Not to say it's bad writing necessarily, but it feels inconsistent.
There's really good parts in it, and it's
and then
a rough draft.
To quote my favorite writing teacher from college, all first drafts are shit.
Rewrite everything. Yep.
But that piano scene, though, when he rethinks his life, is the best scene of the movie.
It's really good.
That's really good. It wasn't as effective this time, even though I knew it was coming. I was like, okay, I remember really liking this.
It is not how I remember it.
Yeah. It's shorter, too.
Yes. It's a lot shorter than I remember.
And then they just kind of jump into all of a sudden he's in the before life again. So it kind of cuts itself short a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about like how the pacing I brought up earlier, and this is weird because it moves really, really, really fast, and then once they get into the body swap, is really, really slow. And then the last 20 minutes are really, really fast.
And I think
just
that
inconsistent.
all kind of comes down to Terry on that end. Because I feel like he's the main antagonist, and he's just kind of not.
He didn't
there.
need to be there.
No.
There was no need for it.
And that's why, I feel like if you would have figured out a different way to, put a ticking clock on him being out there.
Yeah, the ticking time bomb. Because that's an extra one, because we already have the show. Mm-hmm. Which, again, I think we talked about, if they don't have that in there, I don't know what the movie looks like, but would it be better? Because we kind of need more time in some of these things, because a lot of the supporting characters are really good. I mentioned in my letterbox thing, his mom is really interesting, Dez is really interesting, Curly is really interesting, the drummer, and it's Questlove.
Yeah, I
give us more Questlove
until you wrote your little thing.
The little girl that plays trombone.
Yeah,
she's also really interesting. I wish they would have done more with her.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of just resolves itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, she just kind of.
Oh,
he takes it away, and she just kind of takes it back. Do. Oh wait, no, I like playing again. I don't even know why she didn't like playing in the first place.
And sometimes you just get a little overheated, and I don't know. I have been there.
For a movie that explains every other little darn thing, nothing on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really.
I kind of would have liked, even if you don't do any otherworldly stuff, just a simple story of he gets that gig and maybe something keeps him away from it and he has to choose. He chooses the gig over the other thing, realizes it's not what he wants, and then he finds value in what he was doing. Because a lot of movies are like that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's it works better.
Great.
Pixar tends to work better when they're simpler. Mainly Toy Story, as we talked about, but just other things, I feel like the simpler, the better.
That's what they're really good at. They're really good at characters. They're really good at... And then when you try to bog down your interesting characters with a overreaching plot and story.
It's they have the big concept, the many story things going on top of the characters. It's too busy.
Too much.
And of course, we know what happens when it's all story and no character onward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this has been a rough stretch of...
Rough stretch, yes. Other than Toy Story 4, most of them have been or ugh.
Yep, it's not been consistently good since before Toy Story 3.
Yeah, so Up was the end of that. Even though Toy Story 3 is considered the end of that era for a lot of people, that's the one that started it.
Because I would still consider a good amount of these. They're good movies, but they still have persistent problems, if that makes sense.
I think I get frustrated because pre-Toy Story 3, they all felt like their own thing, and because of all the sequels and prequels and just the manufactured thing, it feels like there's just not as much passion into these.
Yeah.
It feels like they figured out how to make them easier.
Yep, they got the formula down.
Like the technology advanced to make the animation easier somehow.
So they're just churning them
Yep.
out. I mean, they've had, I think, up to 27 before 2017 they had 1 year with 2 movies, and that's 2015, and then since 2017. Since 2016, they've had 3 years with multiple.
It's almost the same thing with all of Disney products at this point. Stop turning them out so fast.
Star Wars.
At Star Wars, at Marvel, at Pixar. Take your damn time and make it good.
Like DreamWorks and Spirit Untamed.
They took their time on that.
They waited 18 years for that.
I'm not the one that went at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday.
You are.
I know.
Yeah, you have problems reading and following directions.
Decision making. Some wires there got a little disconnected.
I think you heard 2 a.m.
Disconnected. I don't think they were even made. There's nothing to connect.
Oh, there was definitely something there, but years of abuse.
There's something there that wasn't there before.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just
I think that's why it's
yeah.
so important that Sony and DreamWorks now are really trying to shake up the formula with the animation style, because those movies, Into the Spider-Verse in particular, and now if it's Sony that's doing the TMNT movie.
That's Nickelodeon.
That's Nickelodeon?
Yep.
Okay.
They have the TMNT rights.
Okay.
CBS.
But even that, Last Wish, Puss in Boots: Last Wish. I would consider that a better movie than this. A more fun movie at any rate. And part of that is the animation style. It doesn't look like everything else. And maybe they are trying to do that with whatever comes next, like Elemental or Elio or...
The second Inside Out.
Yes. Maybe that'll be different.
God, there's going to be a second.
I mean, Bad Guys was different. No one expected Bad Guys to be as different as it was.
And it's interesting how the seeds of this change in animation, I've... at least for mainstream studios, I've attributed to Blue Sky with the Peanuts movie. Because
that's fair.
Because they had this separate style and it didn't catch on. The second step is Captain Underpants and it didn't catch on. Spider-Verse made it catch on because it's a more popular thing, and they went one step beyond and made it very colorful. So it's like Blue Sky started it. Sony made it popular, and now I think DreamWorks is the one that has pushed it. Because Sony was going to make another Spider-Verse, but DreamWorks having 2 movies with that style in 1 year is kind of pushing the mainstream animation industry into more stylization, being more unique with the look and putting more effort into it. And I think Pixar's becoming a bit of a dinosaur animation-wise. Not that it's bad, but it's the same thing. Elemental looks the same.
I was going to say, from the trailer that I've seen, it looks this. It doesn't look
I'm not really that excited to see it. It just looks very... bland.
What was the last Pixar movie you were excited to see?
Oh, man. Because I wasn't even excited for Toy Story 4.
No, honestly, because we were all kind of like,
But then we watch it.
It might have been Soul. I remember being very excited.
Of course you were.
For when I saw the trailer.
I was excited for Lightyear.
Actually, to be fair, I also was excited for Lightyear.
I really was. I'm trying to think of the last one. I'm going to look at the list just because I'm just trying to think. When was the last thing I was actually excited? I got a little excited for Incredibles 2 like the week of, but I'm looking and I think Brave, and that let me down. Maybe that's why I don't try to get too excited about Pixar because Brave let me down so hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe it was Toy Story 3 that was the most hype I had for a Pixar movie, and that was 13 years ago.
Cool.
They are one of the most influential and important animation studios in history, and have been incredibly successful financially and prestige-wise, awards-wise. They're kind of falling behind the curve.
You just gotta bring back more creativity.
Something's got to change, and as long as they make a bunch of money, nothing will change. The thing is, their last movie wasn't
We're also
that.
starting to see Disney higher-ups changing. I know it's at this point.
As of right now, we're recording
As of recording this, so when this actually airs, it could be different, but I know this is obviously is in Pixar, but Kathleen Kennedy is on her way out. I just saw another exec from Disney is stepping away. I don't know how much longer Iger is going to be.
Have they been that bad recently financially?
Yes.
Wow.
Recently, Disney has been doing rough financially.
For context, we're filming this in March of 2023.
Yes.
This episode comes out in June, so just at the
yes,
current moment.
Because I know, going through the JPEG era, he made a lot of decisions nobody liked. He put a lot of middle management.
I thought you said JPEG. I'm sorry. I'm like,
yeah, I did too.
Bob Chapek, the old CEO. And I think, obviously this is way before the Chapek era, so this is not, Soul isn't because of that. But I think that's just the way Disney started to swing, was just to, all right, we're very comfortable with what we're doing. Let's start trying to crank it out, like we said, obviously.
Yeah, and the last, again, we've talked about it in other episodes. The Pixar movie so far, because this went to Disney Plus because of COVID. Yeah. Luca got yanked. Turning Red got yanked, despite being promoted heavily. And then Lightyear, they're like, oh, we're putting this in theaters. And it didn't do very well. I think it broke even, but this is Pixar. It's supposed to be better than that. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to feel like if Elemental doesn't do well, something's got to change.
I don't know what's going to happen if Elemental doesn't do that.
That's
going to be at that point.
That'll be the third or fourth one that's not done well in a row.
Turning Red. I like Turning Red. But
you like Soul too.
Yeah, but just because you liked it doesn't mean it did that well.
Well, that's the issue. Is Turning Red, I stand by. I could be wrong, but I stand by the fact if they released this in the theaters, it would have made a good amount of money, and they didn't. And they.
Is it better than Soul? I know what you think.
I think
I know what your general disposition is towards movies in general.
That's why I mouthed it and say it.
I think it's better. It's a smaller.
We'll see, though.
It's a little bit of a smaller story, and I think that's what helps.
Is it really?
Think
about the ending. Is it really? That's pretty big ending, scale.
I know what you're referring to. It is kind of big scale, but like I think the majority of the conflict in turning red is a little bit more.
It's kind of the same. It's
pretty
focused.
Is similar. Like when I'm like thinking about it, like now I stack those two movies together. But I edge it out.
At the end of my point though was also Disney's most recent movie as of recording this was Strange World. That did not do well at all. It's because it's not very good.
Yeah.
Another one where it's like, man, you fix this, you switch this, you switch this. That's actually a pretty decent movie. Nothing great, but
it's
works.
Interesting that it's the writing that is the problem every time.
Because the animation's fine. It's not great, but like it's not great stylistically.
Are they trying to Marvelize all the comedy?
Yeah, it's pretty insufferable.
That's what it feels like.
Sorry, are they trying to Taika Waititi all the comedy?
Do not dare say that.
But he's in Lightyear, and it's that humor, and none of it is funny.
Taika is funny, but in the right projects.
In the right project and in bits and pieces. Not five movies a year for Disney.
It's like
Disney is chewing him up right now. The second he's not profitable, they're going to just cast him aside.
Yeah, Disney has a tendency to do that with people.
It's like the Will Ferrell phenomenon. I can stand to watch Will Ferrell in like 5 or 10 minute chunks, with the exception of one movie. I can stand Taika Waititi in like 5 to 10 minute chunks, with the exception of one movie.
I think I know what that one movie is.
Free Guy.
No, I hate him in that. Oh my gosh.
He's so much fun.
No,
he's not. He's playing himself.
He is not. He's having a hoot.
He's a jerk in that movie. Not like a fun jerk.
No, he's a great jerk. I love him in that.
Maybe you're just a jerk at heart. And this is you like living out this weird, sick, twisted fantasy of being mean to people.
I would never.
Because you're such a pushover in real life that it's like, man, I wish I could be mean to people.
Yeah, sure, maybe.
That's why you like you're a big fan of the Epic Mickey games, because Mickey actually beats people up for once. And you see yourself as Mickey. You've never heard of Epic Mickey?
That is such a deep cut reference, Jared. That is a game that came out 15 years ago.
I know what it is, and I am not a gamer.
I have never even
That just
heard
means
of
that you happen to have that game at that time.
I didn't have it. My brother did.
Okay, regardless, it's in your house.
It was in my house.
Does he have the Wii now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not my house.
How are you going to play Smash Bros?
On my Switch.
Didn't he have a Switch too?
Yes. Do we need to get it write it on the chalkboard?
Yeah.
Here's my brother. Now he moved here. He took this and this. I have this, so I play this. He plays that and that. So do we have anything else to say about Soul?
It needs more Epic Mickey.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It does come down to it's the same thing. They found a formula, and the formula is successful, but it doesn't make the movies good. And it's frustrating to see good ideas and good moments kind of, I wouldn't say squandered, because, again, it's popular, and it won awards. Just kind of not, it deserves a better movie.
It's so close. And I'm not a writer. I could not make this better.
Oh, I know.
But I see.
I don't know. He wrote the Bubble Boy rap.
And that Boats PSA.
Yeah. It turned into one of our favorite songs ever.
Go figure.
Go figure. Go figure. Go figure. I really vote. I really want to vote. I really want to vote.
I don't know what to say anymore. I just got
close to $1 million.
Several $100,000.
I want everybody to know that no one's gonna be able to find that.
Hold on, wait, what?
Where would they ever find that?
He has it.
It's on YouTube, everyone.
It's on SoundCloud too, isn't it?
Yeah, I
What are you gonna do?
just go to the Hootie the Sailor. Just go to the Hootie the Sailor YouTube page. I'll link it in the description.
Oh my God,
it's track 2 of the
It's
album's work.
beautiful.
It's 11 minutes long,
Yeah.
and it's all Dickey.
I really want to vote. 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 I really want to.
Any closing thoughts on Soul?
I really want to go. I really want to go.
No one has any thoughts?
That's it. I got all my...
Kind of we're at the point now of this Pixar watch through where we're so close to the current moment that we're
so
it's shut up.
That was worse than what. Now I remember why your jokes are worse than his.
I just say we're close enough at this point to where it's like we haven't had enough years to see how it's affected things, but we're kind of still in a little bit of like, yeah, we've seen how the industry has changed around it post.
At least we know next week's is good. At least you and I know next week's is good.
We think you'll like it.
I am pretty sure I'm going to like it. I'm very excited to watch it for my first time.
Yeah, but before we talk about what's next week, where can they find us, Dickey?
If you like listening and watching us, you can follow us on all social medias at Instagram, at Facebook, at Twitter, at TikTok, all at Off Slate Media. If you're listening to us, obviously you know that you can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Apple, all the podcasting websites. Make sure to rate us on those. It bumps up our numbers and makes us look great. And last but not least, please go check out our awesome set on our YouTube channel. Once again, at Off Slate Media. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment about other series you'd like to see us do. Comment about what you like and don't like, and we will choose to listen or not to listen to those comments. Also, and check out our cool website.
Alrighty. Next week, the 24th movie is Luca, released directly to Disney Plus. It's a whole thing. A lot of people make comparisons between this and Studio Ghibli. So, but that's going to be next week. Watch the movie in the meantime, as we will be, and with Jake, Jared, and Dickey for Dimlits. We'll see you next week. Here, Jake, I'll play this again.
Not really. I mean, I can. Unless you want to put your mouth on it.
Ugh. Just play random notes, and Dickey say, "What is that?" I go, "Jazz." That's it. Has almost nothing to do with the movie, and I'm fine with that.
The only other thing that I was
Wait, do you say jazz or do I say jazz?
You're playing.
Okay.
Unless you want to say it.
Jazz.
God help me. What, you just blow and touch at the same time?
That's how you were born. Yeah!
Frickin' heck.
What is that?
Jazz.
Let's do another one. Baby Driver.
That's right.
He was in that,
Yeah, Pipe Dreams.
I need to
I was
watch
gonna
that.
say everyone else in that movie impales in comparison to him.
Jared thinks he's funny.
Stop.
I don't know.
What, do you think you're better than me?
No. Just faster.
Definitely better than my other hand.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. You start the damn thing.
Yeah, you just you look at the camera. You look like the guy coming up the stairs in Parasite. Just.
Who's starting?
I don't know.
I can go for a shirtless hunky Mickey.
Jazz.
That's good enough.
I think whenever you edit this, you should leave that little snort in immediately after Jazz.
Jazz.